Hi there, welcome everybody. My name's Andrew Mashman, and I just thought I'd bring you our digital marketing planning template. We've used this very successfully recently in a free online course which involved around 4,500 people, and it was very well received. People liked the content, the way we went through it, and all those sort of things. So I thought I'd bring that to a slide share, and that way everybody can have a good crack at it, and appreciate anyone's feedback on that as you might have it. If you've got any questions, you can contact me on the Liberated Vision email address and website addresses there as well. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll look forward for any feedback. So our digital marketing plan template is pretty much a kind of 5-step model with a little bit of circular activity towards the end around budget determination and evaluation. And tonight I'm just going to walk you through the key aspects of this. And so if you don't have a digital marketing plan at the moment, then this is probably a great place to start. If you have nothing, it's really great. If you've got something going on but it's a bit unco or uncoordinated, then this might be a great place to help get some of that coordination. And definitely you would customize this and use this kind of template in your own business, and to make it work more palatably within your own business environment. So please feel free to do that. And my commentary is just tips on kind of how to make it work. So we're starting from a SWOT analysis, which is about what's going on in the world around our organization, and particularly around our customers' organization. We're then learning about some of the customers that we've got, and particularly because we're dealing in marketing here, we're going to segment customers into groups of kind of like-minded individuals or similar need, or maybe geographic, behavioral sort of segmentation variables there. And any digital marketing plan should be aimed at one particular target segment, and you might have a portfolio of digital marketing plans which help bring different segments together into the bounds of your business, via your e-commerce strategy or via your particular segmentation variables, so that you can talk to each target segment in a one-on-one kind of mode. But more about that if you're talking about marketing and marketing strategy particularly. Then we've got digital goals, and this is really about what do we want our digital plan to achieve for us. Next one there is digital strategy. What's the kind of big picture statement that's going to say we're going to do this, we're going to do it this way, it's going to be important, it's going to help meet our organizational goals? How do we kind of integrate all of those things so that when we start looking at the massive range of tactical tools that are out there in the digital space, we can weave together the best mix of tactical tools to make that work? Also important to point out at this point in time, in reality, lots of people are talking about digital stuff, but digital needs to be integrated with your kind of offline or analog communications plans also. So it's really critical to make that. So a couple of things here just to set the scene here. First thing you would want to do, and this would be the quick and dirty way to start a digital marketing plan. More than likely, you might have some kind of other organizational, strategic, business marketing plan, which would include a situational analysis and a SWOT analysis. If you do those, you're going to lift that particular material, the SWOT particularly, and maybe the vision and mission stuff of the organization into your digital marketing plan. First thing, SWOT analysis sets the scenes, understands a few things. There's a few things I'm looking for, particularly in that space, certainly around opportunities and threats, is unmet customer needs, changing behavior. And in the digital space, consumers are changing all the time, and we've just seen, there's bunches of reports brought out now on adoption of smartphones, particularly how and when we're using tablet devices, how we're using multiple small screen devices in front of television sets, how wearables are starting to impact how we get and where we get data and GPS positioning and all of those kind of things. So for me, they're all opportunities. And if you've got a list of opportunities which doesn't include stuff about customers, you need to go back to the drawing board and look for those things to leverage in your plan. Coming out of that, we're going to find a target market. We'll talk more about that in a second. We want some goals and objectives. And specifically, I talk about goals and objectives, things I want the target market to do for me. Often companies would talk about create, 20% awareness, get 25% market share. They're possibly more strategic goals. In our digital marketing plan, I would like to see goals about, here's our customer, what do I want that customer to do for me? And then you can really focus your attention on whether you should be sampling, whether you should be using social media, whether you're using Snapchat or Viber, just all the different tools, and what will they do for you in that particular space. So we're looking for actions from consumers, and ultimately we want consumers to ring the bell, fill their trolley, buy some product, refer a friend, and they're the kind of things we'll talk about in that space as well. The digital strategy, ultimately, again, the strategy has got to be driven to move consumers. get them to do something that will help you meet your organization's goals, and that comes through understanding what consumers are up to, where they're up to in terms of your brand, your products, your services, etc., and get them to move from that part of their behavior, it might be just awareness or something, through to maybe interest, desire, and action, for example. Could be ways to capture that as well. So set goals and make the strategy reflect the goals that you've set to make that happen. I would definitely set this first before we go to the budget thing, but I'll come around to that when we get towards the end of the plan. Once you've got this kind of broad strategy position, which is going to help you guide which tactical and / digital tools you want to use, then we're looking to weave together the best combination for this particular target audience, and with specific timing and specific integration to drive our case and to achieve our goals, which is really important. So come back to the budget thing as well. And then finally, in the digital thing, one of the reasons that everybody is excited about digital is that you can measure most things in the digital space. So when you set your goals for consumers, make sure you're setting goals that you know that there are tools that can provide measurement on, and that makes the evaluation job fun, fast, in fact, very quick in terms of if things are going not so well, you can change things very quickly. If they're going really well, you can ramp up and amp up your efforts in that space as well. Couple of quick things here. This page just highlights a range of really good value digital marketing sources. So just check down that list there. They're all worth a look at different times. Certainly there's a lot of stuff on YouTube and under the Shift Happens or Did You Know banners there is as well. Within our Charles Sturt University's CSU MKT 525 digital marketing course, the Smart Insights website is the thing that David Chaffee, which writes our text for this particular course, does, and there's a wealth of great and current and usable information in that space too. So check out all those sources. There's many more as well. Definitely, if you're in the social media space, you need to be following people who are opinion leaders in the digital marketing or social media or content marketing spaces, and there's a lot of those. And personally, and with other colleagues that I work with, we often find those sources and we share them using the hashtag csuimc or the hashtag igetdigital. And if you search on either of those things using Hootsuite, TweetDeck, Social Sprout or Sprout Social, or in Google, you'll find some of those sources that we've been working on as well. So that's a great way to stay up to speed with stuff. And that's an ongoing mechanism for us to I guess, curate pieces of digital. Use that to your best advantage. So a couple of quick things about the SWOT. It's really what we call a situational analysis, and SA stands for situational analysis. So what's going on in the world around our organisation, and particularly our customers, and knowledge of what's impacting our business, and particularly knowledge of what's impacting our customers will make for a great SWOT analysis. Some of that comes from inside our organisation. So strengths and weaknesses are both from inside our organisation, or we have a strong element of control over them, and they're 99% of the time internal to our organisation. So if we can change our brand to make a stronger brand, then we should do that. If we've got a weakness in customer service, then it's not anyone else's fault other than our own, and we should fix that or develop mechanisms to avoid that particular weakness. Opportunities and threats are really critical as well. And as I've already mentioned, opportunities are cool things because we're looking for stuff there about customers' unmet needs, changing behaviours, changing technology they're utilising, i.e. the adoption of smartphones and those kind of things. And as mentioned, if you can't find things about customers which are new and evolving in opportunities, you need to go back and look again, because that's where new opportunities come from, new market share comes from, new customers, new referrals, all of those sort of things. Threats are also beyond the scope of our firm. They are uncontrollable. They come from the external environment, and we can't fix them, but we have to work with them, and likely they impact other people in our industry as well. Often in the plans we do for our clients, we use a tool called Critical Issues, and this slide here just is going to highlights that you've done your SWOT analysis, and it's about your particular business and your particular issues. And so in the plans we do for clients, we, SWOT analysis, a situational analysis can get extremely long and very wordy. A SWOT analysis should be a summary of a situational analysis, and then the critical issues are the things that are going to affect you from the SWOT analysis in your next planning period. So it's really important to nut down to the things you must solve. It might be about the survival of your brand, the retention of customers. It might be about the growth of new customers. There'll be some key things there driven out the SWOT analysis that must be included in your digital plan for it to be successful. Likewise, you should be able to sell these back to your management in your organization, because if they know that you're working on student retention, for example, and that's a critical bleeding issue for the organization, then they can see how digital marketing is going to impact that, how they should fund you and help you with your project, and in fact be generally supportive of resourcing your project as well. So think, 2 to 4 issues. If you get to 5 or 10 issues, you've got way too many, but small, short, concise is good. The other thing about critical issues is you can use this particular piece to communicate to key team members that this is what we're here for, guys. This is what we've got to fix with these activities, with these tweets, with these posts, with these updates, with this video that we're doing. We have to be able to address these kind of plans. And these will go into helping drive the goals for the, just an example, that being done. And because this is these slides that have just got your business done, that means that you're going to put your data in there, and it'll be unique to your business. And an example on the slide following this, so you're welcome to flick forward to that as well. Market targets. So who is the target market of this plan? And as I mentioned, you're going to have a portfolio of plans more than likely, and in every word you need to be thinking narrowcast towards target audiences, so very small groups. If you're in the B2B space, a plan, a communications plan and a marketing plan might be about one specific customer, because one customer in the B2B space can make a massive impact on your business, either through getting them to do more, attracting them in the first place, making things happen. So carefully here, and like you might in a project, define who it is, and sometimes that's best identified by who is not the target market. And once you know who that target market is, and you understand the kind of media they're using, what their media diary looks like, how they work, what technology they have, do they use public transport, they always drive, they travel overseas regularly, they're sitting in the Qantas lounge, etc., then you can really start to hone in on the digital tools which are going to make a difference for this particular target market. And when we get down the end of digital tools, if you see a digital tool which doesn't really have an impact on a particular target market you're after, or somebody who influences that target market, then scrap it. Get it out of your plan, because it's not going to give you the results that you want to get. So the next one there is, with this target market we will achieve, and this is where I would ask you to write down things that say, what do I really want this target market to do? And if they've never heard of you before, then awareness is going to be a really important thing to aim for, I suppose. The hard part about measuring awareness in a target market is it's very, very difficult to measure. So we might use a proxy like hits on our website after maybe a free-to-air TV commercial has run, or after a trade show, people who visit our website and register for the the prize or the white paper or whatever it might be. So look for actions you can get your target market to do, so you know whether you've been successful or not. The SMART acronym down the bottom there is about specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So you've got those kind of 5 aspects there, and certainly there is a lot of benefits around timing of goals and when you want to achieve them and when you want to communicate to achieve them, that we'll talk about a little bit later. So make sure you've got those 2 things clearly under control. Brainstorm them with your team. Check your goals back with your organizational goals and your marketing plan goals to make sure there's synergy between those things as well. The next slide is an example of something we just chucked together as an example. It's not true, it's not real. So the rich customer profile, for example, Jane is our 30-something, so it's 30 and age, so age is not massively important for us. She's a master's degree holding, iPhone carrying, she has a young child, she has a mortgage in a high cost of living city. She's extremely well connected and extremely well paid because of a master's degree, but she's extremely time poor. So time poor talks to us about the kind of tools we might use, when we might use them, and those kind of things. She has constant tension between work and family, and never has time for herself, maybe one day, so she's kind of aspirational into that area as well. So specifically, we're not looking for people who are not single, no kids, empty nesters in regional areas. So that's kind of the who's in and who's out issue, and that's how we would kind of frame up a target market. Once you learn more about Jane, or if you're already doing business with Jane, you should do some research with her to find out, what's going on in her life, what's moving, what's she changing like, who's a peer group, who influences her in her decisions, and that market research tool can help you learn more about the customer you're profiling, and then you get even smarter at your digital marketing as well. a couple of goals there, and these are kind of random because we just chucked them together as well. We wanted Jane like people to discover our brand via an email from a preschool that her child attends, and we wanted numbers of roughly at 5,000 or so by July of this particular year. We want Jane, secondly, to register on our website pre the end of August and get a chance to win a holiday, and the holiday is particular because she's got no time for herself, and she can take a family as well, and we're hoping to get, of the 5,000 who will discover the website, we're looking for 1,000 to register as well. And maybe we have some other synergies with some other maybe ambient signage or other things going on as well. Then the next one is that Jane will trial our app, and we have an app that maybe helps her organise a time or whatever else it is by the end of September, and probably download it and use it and recommend it to her closest 10 Instagram friends. So again, 10 people to do that. And every business will have some kind of metric. They know that if we attract 1,000 and then we get attract 5,000 and we get 1,000 to register, then we might get 100 to download the app, and we get 10 to do referrals from that. And once you know what that kind of inverted pyramid is about, who converts, then you can start to target things to increase that conversion rate or to grow the input rate so that we can get more and more conversions at the end of the day as well. So make sure you put those things together. It's about this target market, and for a different target market we might have variations on these goals because we have different landing pages, we have a different modified app for them to use. For example, they don't use Instagram but they use Snapchat, so we'd be looking at referrals across that particular platform. Digital strategy overview. I'm just going to go quickly to the next slide because we've put a few points together on that one. But again, this gives you a blank sheet of paper to start to work out what we can do here. We kind of want to leverage who the target market is, what our organizational goals are, and what our target market goals are, and what the project is. So it might be a particular campaign, new product launch. How does it have synergy with the rest of the business that we're going to do? By the time your team members have kind of read and absorbed the digital strategy, that they should have a very good idea about particular media, timing issues, and other things that are going to work for you. So an example we put together under this one here as well, which will be specific to your business, not this example here, is that with our digital marketing plan, we're going to responsively, so it means we're on the job, we're doing it, we're using social media. You can see responsively means not 9 to 5, it means 24/7. It means messages based off other ambient events which might be important for you as well. So responsively meet our target market with sharp. So they're maybe educated, so we're going to be quick, contextualized. It's about their life, the things that they worry about, the things that they're doing. So if it was about Jane, it might be a new time-saving device that helps with childcare or childhood education or something like that. We've chosen particular media, Twitter, Pinterest in that case there. It's during their workday particularly, and we're going to also use LinkedIn because we know they're there for their professional development issues as well, to drive them from awareness to interest and action for Christmas sales and endorsements by the end of December 2015. So we're pulling together the target market, the goals of the organization, the goals we've set for the thing, and some of the media which has come out of our research about the customer to come up with a clever plan. And you can see from this we're already starting to look at some of the digital tools for this target market which are going to drive our success. Perfect. So the big question in the digital marketing space now is kind of what tools and media choices do we have? What timing and what measurement can we achieve with that? And this, for digital marketers and for non-digital marketers, is confronting really because things are changing very rapidly. What was cool last week is uncool this week. What works very successfully last week may have bugs this week. What is going gangbusters last week is going even bigger gangbusters next week, like a Taylor Swift video, for example. So things move very, very quickly, and hence digital marketers need to have a finger on the pulse. They need to be plugged in to opinion leaders in this space. They need to have their fingers on, iMedia Connection marketing charts, Mumbrella, maybe if you're in Australia, getting feedback on what's working. Also talking to customers, maybe even staff and other opinion leaders who are using different platforms to know what's going on. So some spaces here which definitely need to be considered are what screens and platforms are consumers using. The point above it probably is how's our website working, what's going on with our website, and one of the obviously no-brainers now is if you do not have a mobile responsive website, then Google will be putting you back on the pages because it's not effective anymore. And I saw data for Australia the other day is 48% of Australians are smartphone, I think we're 85% smartphone active, but I think 48% of smartphone users are searching for stuff all of the time using that. So more than half of search is now done on mobile. That was the point I was trying to get at there. What's going on in terms of content? What are you generating for your website? So they talk about content marketing. We've got video stuff going on in there. We've got blogging, social media. The concepts of paid. So what do we pay for? What do we own and we can influence here? And what can we use to develop earned value for our business as well? So paid, earned, and owned, and there's a whole different discussion. We can talk about that, not for this slideshow or tonight though. So which screens, which platforms are people using? People are moving from the TV screen, which is the original screen, down to computers, which was called the second screen, and now we have third screen devices like mobile phones, tablets particularly, and I guess your kind of ultrabook style convertible Surface Book type device is definitely in that space as well. But again, people use different platforms at different times of the day and different screens, and sometimes they use a screen exclusively, sometimes they're multitasking across a number of different screens. So need to know that about our target market, and then choose tools which work on the screen device that they're going. The best way to understand which both tools and screens and platforms people are using is get a sample of your target market to do a media diary for you, or get a research company to do that for you, and learn from the get-go, from the wake-up point in the morning, what devices, screens, media are people interacting with during their media day. And for a start, do it for one day, and then over time you need to build up an information base about how people spend their week. And certainly at different times. So in Australia at the moment, we've got a series of grand finals. We've got a very big car race going on, and people will be using different devices around these particular big event occasions to share, interact, and learn about things as well. Third point down there is about SEO and SEM. And SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. SEM stands for Search Engine Marketing. And there we've kind of got the PR and the advertising tools, I suppose. But SEO is about getting ranked on Google particularly. And again, Australians particularly are using Google more than any other search engine tool. So we want to be on ranking. And if you check with your own behavior, it's unlikely that you went past page one on a search unless you're looking for something very specific. And it's unlikely that you scroll below what we'd call the fold, or the bottom of the screen. So if your business, or the business you're trying to get to perform, is not above the bottom part of the screen on a widescreen format screen, and is not on that front page of Google, then work gets immeasurably harder for you at that point. One of the ways to overcome that, but is complementary to SEO, is SEM, is where we pay for, say, Google AdWords and get things done, and to get our brand visible in the top cells above the paid advertising space on a Google search, or on the right-hand side of the screen and the ads that form there. A success for some businesses is definitely when they're both SEO at the top of the page and their SEM. There's a couple of businesses around that increase their click-through rate massively when they're in both of those spaces as well. But depending on your category, your business, there'll be different amounts to spend to be in that place, both from an SEO perspective and an SEM perspective. As an individual, there's stuff you can do around SEO, and you can work with Google AdWords as an SEM thing, but these areas are getting more and more complex, and often you need external experts to help you achieve really well in these spaces. I guess it depends on your time availability and your skill set. Apps have been a massive growing thing, and app uptake has been a great part of digital marketing as well. And certainly if you can bring clients into your app space, then you can have kind of a captive audience, and you can send the messages that you'd like to spend to them, control that, help them use it, etc. So apps are massive as well. There's big growth in payment opportunity, and certainly I believe the latest 6S phone will allow payment systems to happen from that, scanning, like your PayWave credit cards, those kind of things. Samsung's got a tool, PayPal's got an application. There's a few of them out there. So there's a lot of stuff going on there which enhance your ability. You can already do online-based transactions, and banking, etc. But these speed in terms of the scan and the payment system, and that's coming our way massively. Email, some people might say it's dead and buried, and certainly for some target audiences, email is really low priority for them. They're likely to be using an instant messenger or a chat device. But for many people, email is still very powerful, and carefully constructed email can get you a lot of traction. So these are some of the tools we can look at. Channels, timing, the media, these are all things that you need to look at in your plan, and we'll have a look at some of those in the examples that follow. at the end of the day, you need a list of the tools that meet your customer's need or this particular target market's needs, and you can use those to develop your digital marketing. That slide as well. We often use a grid like this with clients. They can be drawn up on a whiteboard for people to input to and to stick post-it notes into and all of those kind of things. So it's a pretty cool collaboration tool at that end. They can be shared on a A3 piece of paper. They can be shared digitally as well, as you probably would do. This kind of thing can also turn up in a a Microsoft project plan or a Smartsheet plan. So you've got timing and other things if you're organising events and those kind of things in that sort of manner. So keep it simple in this space. You don't certainly need reams of paper and reams of text to get this happening. Just going across the screen quickly because there's some important things there which both help us understand what we're going to do, but why we're doing it and who we're doing it for. And this definitely would become a management and implementation tool for you as well. So the first column there is about the action of the tool. So what are we getting to do here? Certainly you would definitely integrate tools from your non-digital plan here. So you're doing a new product launch, for example, then that packaging, that availability, that distribution and stuff might be included in this as well. Second thing, what is the objective for this particular tool that we're going to use? If we're going to use our landing page on our website, what would we like it to have happen with that too? Who is the target? And this is the target market. Who are we sending this to? It could be the target market only, but it might also be other people who influence the target market to make decisions around a new drink, for example, as it would be. Timing, and is there issues going on with timing? So pre-Christmas, post-Mother's Day, post some ambient event like an election in a country, post a security issue, for example, and Australia's had a number of those. And for some products, that timing issue might be really, really important for them. Or it might be less important. And so for Volkswagen, which is having a lot of PR-based issues at the moment, then they might be putting a lot of things on hold because no matter how much they chuck at good news at the moment, the timing of that might be kind of ill-timed because of the negative publicity around, and they might swing to different tools to get their brand awareness up or their conversions up right at this particular point in time. We would always allocate some level of responsibility. So who's doing this? If we're using outsourced partners like ad agencies, PR agencies, digital marketing agencies, etc., put those people in there. So who's the go-to person for this tool? And that part of that is if there's a problem with it or if there's some fantastic news with it, who is the who's the go-to person for that? Who's the champion for that particular tool so that we can get onto them? Second last column here is what is the detail and integration, and particularly everybody's talking about integration in communications and in marketing. So brands, logos, color schemes, voiceover artist, anything we can do to make messages appear continuous or integrated across diverse media, so from a billboard to a tweet to a piece of video on YouTube. How will somebody who sees that know that it's coming from the same person or the same organization and it's aiming to get you to move from awareness, interest, desire, action, for example? If the consumer sees those all as fragmented, different kind of medias and tools and calls to action, they're going to see a hole in that plan and they're not going to take up and we're not going to deliver on our goals for us. So be wary of that. Last column on this page here is about progress. How do we measure the progress of this thing? So some of our evaluation metrics could be in here. It could be updates from key staff or the agency, for example, on where we're up to, barriers that they've run into. Great thing, really good understanding of what's happening as well. Now, again, this is just an example which we chucked together for some homework for a class, which is why it's got homework up the top of the page there. And they're not related together, so they're kind of individual things, but they were a little bit related, at least a few of them, to the course that we did. So the first one, just going across the page to explain it, was a LinkedIn text-based ad. It was in the case here, it was actually done as a demonstration for the class to raise the awareness of the power of advertising, and we launched it out to a particularly tight audience of digitally curious global citizens, and we had people in the group from around the world. But using the targeting tool within LinkedIn, we cut it back to people who had to have a relationship with IT Masters or CSU. So within that, they had to have used a Charles Sturt University website more than likely, or part of a Charles Sturt University group, which there was numbers of them, or an IT Masters group. And the power of that advertising, I suppose, is that we launched out some 12,000 exposures on using that particular mechanism, but we only got 5 click-throughs, which is a pretty poor rate in my book on that one as well. We did it from a particular period of time to another period of time, so we opened and closed it. We knew what our spend was going to be for that particular time as well. I was responsible for it because I'm Andrew, and in terms of detail and integration, we used the igetdigital hashtag, which had performed really well around a number of issues associated with digital marketing, and you can have a Google search for that and see what's going on. We included my business's logo, and we had a link to the course landing page. So we had all those things done, and progress was we finished it, it did the exposures, it got clicked, and because it got so few clicks, it needed to tune the ad, and so the audience was probably either already aware and not going to be able to respond to that, or the call to action was incorrect for that particular group of people as well. We did also some stuff on YouTube, so content for the free online digital marketing course was an introductory video. The objective was to engage students in the course, and certainly we had about 4,500 people enrolled in the course, and at the time this slide went together, there'd been 2,141 views. So 47% of the people enrolled in the course had seen the video. That's actually grown since, and just recently there was about 2,350 views of that. So we're over 50% of course participants had viewed that video. So I'd say that was pretty successful on the scale of how it works. Particularly around where some of our digitally curious global citizens were. They're in countries with very, very poor broadband, or in fact no broadband capability. It's still alive, so it started on the 17th of the 6th. It's still going, so you got the detail about the timing there. Again, I was responsible for it. Detail integration, hopefully, driving, hopefully it was engaging video, read the course overview. Careful attention to when we loaded that up to keywords, course link, and tags for digital to make that more searchable. And while most of the views of that particular tool came via what is the IT Masters website, we also got some search results through Google and some exposures through Google recommendations, and we could see those in the metrics that came out of that as well. Last one was an email, for example, to an IT Masters database, so people who are already enrolled in the course, so they're already aware. So engage students in the course initially, and then for the next session, so it was about driving numbers to participation each week. Glenn, same target market, globally curious digital citizens. 1 week out, then 1 day out, then one hour out for the sessions. We had some people responsible for that. We continued to grow, included highlights of previous weeks, and so that was really nicely targeted. This happened last week. This guest speaker is coming on next week, and so the email was always evolving. It wasn't static in any sense, and it became more engaging as the weeks of the course went through as well. Progress click-through increases with the new content, so we increased the click-throughs on it to re-engage and to ensure stickiness to the course, I suppose, as well, and hopefully increase referrals, though there was no particular measure of that one as well. And certainly it did include the igetdigital hashtag, which again has become very searchable on Google. And if you type in digital or you type in the igetdigital hashtag within Google, you'll see some of the results of that work as well. So there are things you might be looking at in terms of your tools and media choices, the kind of detail you'd look at to make that work out for you as well. So the last point, or a couple of last points I wanted to make, is the marketing of your digital marketing plan. Again, if you've done all this awesome work on putting a digital marketing plan together, you need to sell it to the key stakeholders, and that might be outside your organization, it might be to your agencies, it might be to the management inside your organization. So identify who those stakeholders are first. Identify what information your stakeholders are big on, and if you're pitching to a CFO, it's likely they're going to be very quantitatively driven, so get some quantitative stuff in here to get them excited about that. How do they want to get that information? They might love flashy picture-driven presentations. They might want a spreadsheet. They might want a project plan. Do what you need to get their buy-in. And sometimes, and I would definitely recommend this, that if you're putting together a digital marketing plan, get a meeting of stakeholders together early on in the process. Get them to bounce their ideas, and because they're management, they'll have ideas about all the different things that the marketers should do. Get them to buy in, and then when you go to pitch it back to them, and they start to see some of their ideas having come in there, yes, you've tuned them up, yes, you've rationalized them, yes, you've done all those things, but they'll feel like they need to commit and support you with resources and money and those kind of things to make that happen, because they see some of the glimmers of ideas that they put it in. And then within the organization and with distributors and agencies and those things, go out of your way to communicate to those people. So presentations for sure, but road shows, incentives, post-it notes on the back of toilet or doors, chalk art in car parks, things which show that you as the digital marketing champion are onto something here, and that something new is happening for the organization, which is going to make it fantastic. So make sure you reach out and get that stuff going on for your business and for you as the digital marketing plan as well. Now, a couple of things just to wrap up. I like to approach plans which is somewhat unrealistic for most organizations, but from what we call a zero base. And a zero base means clean sheet of paper. If you go into doing a digital marketing plan with last year's budget less 10%, then you're really going to do what you did last year, less a few things. The zero-based thing opens up the opportunity to discuss and to brainstorm what might possibly be. And yep, it's highly likely that you may not be able to afford some stuff, but also it might shine some light on a really creative way to use a new piece of media. So some line or Periscope video, for example. And suddenly you've got an opportunity there which is quite low cost just by being super clever. So if you start from last year's budget, you're really giving yourself, you're hamstringing yourself right from the get-go. If you say, hey, what could possibly be here, then you might find some cool new way to communicate to your audience and get excellent results and bring that back. So once you've kind of brainstormed your plan, you've got your strategy, and you've probably got a bit of sign off on that, keep investigating what's possible, and then at the end of the day, just for the sanity of the organization, you'll probably have to rationalize that back to what is palatable and payable and can give you a return on investment. But please try to start with as much of a clean sheet of paper as you can, so you can check out what are the possibilities, and when you find that awesome possibility, it's highly likely you'll be able to fund it as well. Zero-based budgeting, think about it, try to make it work in your organization. Last one there, evaluation for fun and feedback. And the key thing about evaluation is that we want to measure against the original goals we set out for our plan as well. Know what we're going to measure, what tools we're going to use to measure, know what timing you're going to use to measure. Lots of tools give you real-time dashboards, which is fantastic, so you can watch things unfolding right there in front of you. And views of YouTube, your business might have dashboards of its own set up to measure responses of customers, etc. Use those to your best ability, and also the data that stuff gives you, which your organization is invested in, make sure you pitch it back to management and get them excited about the things you do and the way you're using that kind of information as well. When you find things that go well, do more of it. When you find things that suck and don't perform very well at all, cut them out. And in digital, you can do that really, really quickly. So it's important. Last one there for kind of the feedback thing is that use the stuff you're doing today for your next plan. It's an input thing. People will see you learning from what's happening. They'll see you as responsive, and they'll see you as kind of opportunistic and making things happen. And that's what digital need on their resume as well. So just to wrap up, summary of things, you're going to kick off with a SWOT. What's the status quo of our organization? We're going to identify for each digital marketing plan specific known groups of target customers that we want to do something with, set some goals for those customers, create that kind of umbrella strategy, how and when and where and what's going to happen, the big picture thing, and then plug the digital tools in it to make that happen. Got the tools, or got the preferred portfolio of tools. We're going to do a budget on that to see what's going to be affordable and doable, and what's going to work best, and get sign off on that. And then when we get the chance to implement, we're going to manage our performance on a hour by hour basis, more than likely, and we're going to use the cool outcomes to ramp things up, and things which are failing, we're going to cut them off really quickly, and we're going to use all of that knowledge to develop our next digital marketing plan and our evolved digital marketing plan, as it might be as well. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks very much for your interest and listening to and watching this slideshow. If you've got any questions about anything I've discussed tonight, feel free to email me. And if you need someone to help facilitate digital marketing in your business, however large or small, I'm up for the challenge, and please contact me on that email address. Otherwise, have a great day or night, and enjoy your digital marketing challenges. Thanks very much.